welcome to another program of Empowering Parents.
We're so excited to be with you tonight.
So we're going to continue to speak about healthy authority because at the end of it all, we want to be empowered as parents, and
Yes.
we want to do it in a healthy way in our family. So we're going to continue to speak about that tonight. And tonight we actually have a very tricky subject. And it's not one we always want to speak about, and it's not a tool we want to mention, but it is there sometimes.
It's unfortunate that it's there, but it's good to know that it's there.
Yes, so we're going to speak about manipulation. And that is also a tool we can grab in our Empowering Parents journey. Now, since we are speaking about gardening and we were speaking about all the trees, we're going to continue to also speak about how this manipulation tool can also be used in our garden. But actually, we don't want to use it because it's like one of those pocket knives. I don't know, Jaco, if you know.
The Swiss pocket knife.
Yes, the Swiss. It has so many blades, but it must stay in your pocket. It is not for the use of your garden. We're not using pocket knives as a tool in our garden because it can bring disruption
Yes.
in our garden. And it makes me think about the scripture, Jaco, in 2 Peter 2 verse 19. Let me just read it for you. It says here, "For by whom a person is overcome, by him also he is brought into bondage."
Sure.
And what it actually also says is that is exactly what manipulation is. It brings bondage. It doesn't bring a freedom. It doesn't bring a growth. And we actually want to speak about growth for our children and for our family. So that's why we say leave the pocket knife.
Yes. Yeah, but that just makes me think, Rita, if manipulation brings bondage not only to us but also to our children, why on earth would we actually use it?
because it works. That is, manipulation works.
That's a key thing. It works. Full stop.
And we always try, or if something works, we just continue doing it. And especially as parents, we doing it for the first time in our life. So it's so easy just to go back to stuff that actually works. So it's so easy to go from a no to a yes. So we teach our children then that if they just use the right emotion, they can actually get what they want. So that's what we do with manipulation. And some of us use pocket money or we use sweets to exchange for our children's obedience. So if we give you this, then you will be obedient. And that's all part of using the tool of manipulation.
Sure, so that maybe just brings me to the next question, Rita, and I'm thinking, why then is it wrong? If it's something that works, why is it wrong?
Well, manipulation might be effective, but it's evil. And why I'm saying that is manipulation is the empowering tool of the devil.
Sure.
That is what
That's strong words there.
That's the tool the enemy uses. And you know what?
Sure.
When he comes to us, he doesn't come to us with his gruesome and destructive agendas. That's not how he comes to us. He comes with us with tricks, with lies, with control, with false promises, and he also makes you feel guilty.
Sure.
And that is exactly what we do when we use the tool of manipulation. And that's why we say, you know what, it is evil, and we don't want that in our lives. So when we speak about it tonight, manipulation is actually something that can come down in generations also, and we have to deal with it in the spirit also. It's not just in the practical, in our parenting life. It's a spiritual thing that we also have to deal with. Tonight, however, we're just going to speak a little bit about the practicality of it, or what it is in our home.
And I guess how to identify it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, also why it is wrong, I also want to just mention that, Jaco, is when we manipulate someone, or when we are manipulated by someone, we lose respect for that person. I don't know if you agree. So that is exactly what will happen with our children. If we use manipulation in getting their obedience, they're going to lose respect for us, and they're not going to listen and
And
obey.
the fruit of that really gets ripe in the teenage years.
Yes,
When
yes.
if manipulation happened in their early years and their development years, you're going to see that there's absolutely no respect for you as a parent.
Yes, that's so true. That's
Sure.
very true, Jaco.
Yeah, that's good, Rita. I think maybe let's talk about how do we actually identify if we are using manipulation or if somebody else is using it onto us.
Yeah, so actually we're saying when is it manipulation and when not.
Yes.
So it's actually so simple, Jaco. It's so easy, you know.
To me, it feels very hard because it's like underlying things. So
Yeah.
tell us, why is it easy?
Manipulation actually leaves us with a bad feeling in our gut. You know, it's a bad feeling, and when it's like when you walk away from a situation where you manipulated or where you were manipulated, is you have this bad feeling, but your child feels amazing. So you gave something, discipline or anything, you gave that, but there was no joy in that. That when you walked away, you weren't like, yes, that was a win for us as a family. There's growth happening. So there's this feeling in your gut. It's like
It's
when,
not the type of feeling you get after you ate too much or if you have some gas, you know.
No, it's also like, for example, maybe you just bought a very unnecessary, expensive toy for your child. You just bought it, and as you leave, you think, I could have just bought a whole trolley full of food with this money,
Sure.
but I just bought that child exactly what he wanted, and it's that feeling, you know, you almost feel angry, you feel upset,
And
you were
even a
tricked
bit
into it.
disgusted with yourself.
Yes,
Hey?
definitely. This and yeah, so this is how we recognize it. It's that feeling, you know, you were just out of control. Now it makes me think, you know, when I feel manipulated, it's like I'm driving the car with my kids, and I just realize that I'm not holding the steering wheel anymore, and the next thing, I'm not in the driver's seat anymore. I'm not in the driver's seat. And you know, it gets scary when I look and I see my 3-year-old, his foot is on the accelerator.
Ooh, yeah.
So that is actually how I will explain manipulation, is that you have
So
no control.
that's the type of feeling you actually have. Is you need to sort of try and explain to your 3-year-old, listen, don't step on that too hard.
Yeah, it becomes scary. It really
Okay, so
becomes.
there's that feeling of disgust, of anger, and yeah.
Yes.
Sure, Rita. I think maybe just enlighten us a bit with some things that children would tell parents in order to manipulate their parents.
Yeah.
Let's just start with that. You know,
Yeah.
we'll go into what we as parents say to manipulate our child.
Yeah.
Children.
So maybe you can, as a parent, you can comment, you know, what are the things that your child says to you where you know they are just trying to manipulate you. You know they're just trying to get their way. These are the type of things they say. And you know, sometimes we must listen, but sometimes we must test it. So I wanna give that option to us as parents. That tool is when that manipulation sentence come to you, you're gonna listen to it or you're gonna test it. Those are the two things that you need to do whenever you get these sentences. Now, a lot of things we hear is, I'm too tired.
Oh,
You
I hear
know?
that all the time.
Or and you can test it, for example, by just look at what they did just before you told them to pick up their toys. Now you told them, pick up your toys, and they're like, I'm too tired. Then if they were just running around like mad with their brother and sister, obviously they just want to manipulate you. Or if you say to them, well, we're gonna eat now after the toys, are you too tired to have supper? And if they say, yes, I'm too tired, then you can say, okay, I'll keep your supper for you. So you test. No, I'm too hungry. So you test them. Are they just manipulating? Another thing they say is, I'm too sick. You have to test. See, you know, you get these really bad medicine these days, you know, that taste horrible. So you can just say, I'm going to give you this medicine if you feel sick. No, I'm just joking. You don't have to do that, but test it, you know. Or they say they are scared. I'm too scared. And, a child up to 7 year old, it is normal for them to just still be scared of the dark. It's something they are unfamiliar with what happens in the dark. So we can just check if they are really, really scared. So if you need to just go lie with them or do something, just test it. One of the things a teenager will say is, you won't understand, mom and dad. You won't understand. So they want to
That just sort of
manipulate you.
disqualifies you, hey?
Yeah, like you don't know anything. So teenagers will do that. So we have to create then an opportunity for them to give us some understanding. Say, give them a way to help me understand as a parent. Now, some of us, some kids, they just start to cry, and it's just so easy to cry. Now, if you know the trees, and you know them very well, is with a boxwood, if you speak very strong and you come across very strong on a boxwood, they will cry. So maybe just test your volume of giving a demand. And then, but for a palm, is when they cry, a palm is they just good in their drama skills. So they will use their cry
That's
to
their
manipulate you.
manipulation tool. Yeah.
Yes, so make sure that you test what they are saying. Okay, don't just give in or don't just ignore their needs also. Okay, and then another thing they also say is please, please, please. They beg you. Also test it. Or some kids will say, then I will just ask dad. And these are little things that trigger us. And if we are not on the same page as mom and dad about discipline, that is the manipulation that they will also use to manipulate.
They're gonna
us.
try and find inroads.
Yeah.
Hey.
So those are, maybe some of you will comment, what are the words your child says that just triggers you and you just give over control. You just allow them, or it just makes you so angry,
Yes.
that you cannot grab the right tool to handle the
I
situation.
think, Rita, as parents, we actually know sometimes that our children are manipulating us, or at least trying to. So please tell us in the comments, send us an email so that we can see how do they do that with you. That will be interesting.
Yes.
But I think it brings me to a different question, Rita, and I would like to figure out, why would a child actually want to manipulate me as the parent? What would their purpose and their reason be behind it?
Yeah. Yaku, just like I mentioned earlier, it is a spiritual thing also. And number one, I would say, is we have sinful nature. And it's part of a sinful nature that we have. And then another thing is they try to control rather than accept authority. So they want to just control the situation. They don't want to accept the authority of the parent. Another thing, the third thing I would say is they don't understand their role in the family. So they don't know what is their place and what is the place of the parent and who is actually in charge, if I can say it like that, or what is their responsibility. So they don't know their role. Another thing, the fourth thing that I would say is it's unfulfilled needs, and they don't know how else to get it than just to manipulate. So maybe just check your child. Are they really hungry? Are they tired? Do they need some love and some encouragement? So we don't just bend the child to break the child. We want to meet their needs, so we don't want to ignore that. And many times they have to go over to manipulation to get our attention. And just the last thing why a child would manipulate is just because the boundaries are not clear. And I know many of you parents listening tonight, you can vouch for that one. We can, when we didn't clearly communicate the boundary, they will try to manipulate us. But if we stick to that boundary, we keep on communicating that boundary, they won't even try to use manipulation.
Oh, that's so true. Sure.
Yes.
And I think now what I'm thinking now is, why on earth would I, as a parent, have or feel the need to actually manipulate my child?
Mm.
Like, even just by me saying it like that, it feels so wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why would I manipulate my child? And I think no parent watching really has a heart to
Yes.
that's set out to say, listen, I'm going to go out and manipulate my child. But why do we tend to do that?
Yeah. I think, Jaco, the first thing that I can think of is when we lost authority.
Okay.
So we have no authority anymore, we have no control anymore. So we just also grab the tool, the one that that comes so easily for our sinful nature, and that is manipulation. So we just grab it. Another thing is, we don't respect the needs of our children. So we don't actually just stop and think what our child needs. So we just refer to manipulating. And then another thing is, we just had no other example. That's just how we know how to parent, is we use the tool of manipulation. It's the example we grew up with, and that's all we know how to do.
Sure.
So we tend. And I think just another thing, many of you will agree with this, and I have done this because of this reason, is it limits conflict. You know, sometimes you are just so tired, you don't want to fight with your child, you don't want to fight with your husband.
You've
so
had a bad day at
Yes.
work and just conflict all day long, and now you get home and
you just go to
there you have it.
manipulation. You just grab that tool and you use it in your parenting. The last one is actually one that is very true, and that's something we can work on, and is, if we do not have a relationship with our child, manipulation is just an easy tool to grab.
Sure. Now, I think tonight we have been able to discuss quite a few things on at least how to identify manipulation. And some of us never knew that we are actually manipulating our kids, and or that they are manipulating us. And I think that has been so clear tonight.
Yes.
And I want to encourage you to come and watch next week's session, which then we're going to delve into this a bit more deeper, and we're going to look at how do we actually break this
Yes.
whole manipulation cycle.
Yeah, I think just going through the session, us as parents, Jaco and I, we realized that we many times grab for this tool, manipulation, and we would like to break that in our family, so that we can have a healthy authority, and that we can see our children grow just under healthy authority, and one day they would be able to submit to a leader and to submit under healthy authority.
Yeah, just thinking of it in the whole picture of having your trees and your garden. I mean, you can't really accomplish much with a Swiss Army knife. Thinking about it, what you can do, however, is you can give those trees some nice scars. You can carve out things on them that makes your garden actually not look so good. So I want to encourage you this week, let's go and have a look at and start to identify, where do we manipulate and where do our children manipulate, and then we'll be back next week.
Yes. Enjoy your evening. God bless.
Bye.